Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Ali and in today's video we're going to be going through some summer care tips for chinchillas. And why are we doing this video? Because in the UK at the moment the sun has got his hat on. Hip 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 hooray! I have no idea what that was, sorry.
Oh, the sun has got his hat on. Hip 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 hooray!
What the friggin' hell was that? I have a small child. I have a lot of nursery rhymes in my head. In all seriousness, the sun is out at the moment. We haven't got a little mini heat wave, not crazy high temperatures, but enough to make your chinchilla uncomfortable or potentially unwell. So yeah, that's the reason why we're doing this video today. And in this video I'm going to be going through some tips on how to keep your chinchilla cool. I know I've already done several videos on this, but my reckoning is that every video I make may get to another potential person that doesn't know this stuff and could potentially save a life of a chinchilla. So that is the reason why I'm doing it. And also we're going to be going through some general do's and don'ts when it comes to summertime with your chinchilla. So let's get started. Now, I belong to a lot of American Facebook groups. A lot of Americans are really baffled by the fact that we do not have aircon as standard in our homes in the UK. The reason for this is that our climate is very temperate and mild. So in the winter we usually don't have crazy cold winters unless there's some like freakish weather system going about. And in the summertime our summers are not particularly crazily hot. I mean, we do get a few hot weeks, but most people in the UK, when they get a hot week, they just crack open a window, sit in their pants and drink a cold drink. That is what we do. We don't use aircon, but that's no good for a chinchilla. A chinchilla needs to be kept cool. So how do we go about this? So the first and easiest way to keep your chinchilla cool, and the most reliable way of keeping your chinchilla cool, is to buy a portable aircon unit. So they're portable aircon units, so you can move them about, but you do need a window or some sort of opening to vent out the hot air that the aircon generates. The aircon puts cold air into the room and then extracts hot air out, which is why you need an open window, or in my case I have a open vent that's connected to the wall. But yeah, so you need something like that, and you need to be able to keep your window open when you're not in, for example, which can be a little bit tricky. But yeah, they are the most reliable ways of keeping your chinchilla cool, because it cools the air around your chinchilla. Now, to get one that's effective and is actually decent, it is going to cost you a little bit of money, between £300 to £500 I'd say. The more expensive you go, the more effective they are generally. And because even portable aircon units, they do struggle at the higher temperatures, just to warn you. So even though I've got aircon, I still get a bit panicked in the height of summer about my chinchillas, because even though I've got the aircon, it still can sometimes struggle a little bit in keeping the chinchillas cold. If you can't afford aircon, or you just don't have the windows that you can have open for aircon, so another option is to use an air cooler. Air coolers are a lot cheaper, but they are far less effective than air conditioners. And there's another issue with air coolers in the fact that they actually release moisture into the air to keep the air cool, and they release cold water, basically droplets, into the air. And the problem with this is that humidity is a big factor in chinchillas being unwell as well. If the humidity is too high, that can cause some serious health issues to your chinchilla as well. So it's far better to invest in a portable aircon unit. That being said, there are some other things that you can do. You can use things like, I use granite chopping boards, but you can use any kind of granite slab or ceramic slab and stick it in the freezer, get it nice and cold, and then give it to your chinchilla and they can lie on it, and that can keep them cool. You can also freeze things like tins of vegetables or cans of beans, and then you can have those in the cage and they can keep the chinchilla cool once they're frozen. And you can also do that with dust as well. You can put dust in a container in the freezer, and then when it's nice and cool you can actually put the dust in their dust bath and have a dust bath and roll around in it. That can keep them cool. So all these things can help with a chinchilla in keeping them nice and cool during the summer months. So you can also use reflectors in your windows, which can stop the heat getting into your property. So for example, they use similar things in cars where they put reflectors on the windscreen so that that heat doesn't get trapped into the car. You can do that same with your windows, and that can actually reduce the level of heat getting into your house. Yes, those are the things that you can do to keep them cool. Now, what other things do you have to consider when it's summertime? Other things you need to consider during the summertime is, one of the things you can do is take the wheel out of your chinchilla's cage during hot days. Now, the reason for this is because on hot days you do not want your chinchilla running on an exercise wheel and potentially overheating, getting heat stroke and dying. It's not what you want. So removing that wheel is important. Now, in most cases the chinchilla won't actually use that wheel. They will actually not really want to move if they're feeling hot, but just on the off chance they do try to use the exercise wheel, you want to remove it. Also, same with playtime. If it's too hot for you, if you're feeling hot and bothered, don't get your chinchilla out, because your chinchilla is going to be feeling 10 times worse than you are. So not letting your chinchilla out for playtimes on hot days is really, really important, because if they do overheat, again, heat stroke, they can die from this. So it's really, really important to know if you're feeling too hot and you're feeling bothered, then there's no way that chinchilla is fine at all. There's some things that you can do. As far as actual care of your chinchilla goes, diet, water, everything else, that's all the same. The chinchilla might drink a bit more water during the summer months, but that's all pretty much the same. You might want to look out a bit more for ringworm and things like that, because that can start to develop in hot and humid conditions. So yeah, keep an eye out for things like ringworm and fungus infections. But apart from that, the care is pretty much similar. It's all about keeping your chinchilla cool and also not letting them out for excessive amounts of playtime when it's hot weather. To the people that I often see on Facebook every year that say the same thing, which is, I've owned chinchillas for 30 odd years, I've never had aircon units and I've never did anything to keep them cool, they've always been fine, blah de blah de blah, they don't need it. I would say to these people, go outside when it's 25 degrees Celsius outside, but not in your shirt and shorts. Go out in a faux fur coat, not a real one, that'd be cruel, and go out there with a nice big thick fur coat on, a woolly hat and a scarf on, and see how long you last outside before you want to come back in. I reckon it would be about 10 minutes before you feel entirely uncomfortable and you want to strip off your clothes and go inside. Now, that's all well and good for you. You can strip off your clothes, and the chinchilla can't strip off its fur coat. It's there permanently, and it can be insufferable for a chinchilla to have to go through huge amounts of heat. They may survive it, but it's not comfortable for them at all, and it's not nice for them at all. So you really do want to be monitoring it and trying to keep them cool any way you possibly can. So yeah, that is my little video on keeping your chinchilla nice and healthy in the summertime. Now, I know I have done videos on this before, and this one is particularly similar, but the reason why I do these every year is because I think if one new person sees this video and doesn't see my other video, I could potentially save one chinchilla from getting heat stroke and potentially dying. So that's why I do them every year. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.